much, ladies. Hawaii is very a powerhouse. I have organizations from the sexual reproductive health and rights. I have organizations from the laws and policy makers. I have implementers in the house. I have somebody representing people living with HIV and AIDS and people living with disabilities. So I am looking forward to this conversation. Okay, so the first question that I wanted to ask you ladies is, I would like to talk about access to SRHR info and knowledge. And I really wanted to understand what you think could be done in secondary schools, how they can do things differently to adequately prepare young girls for transitioning into higher education and improving their educational outcomes. I will give this question to you.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Is this working? Thank you for that. Personally, as a young person, and my experience at junior school is the guidance and counseling lesson has always been a free lesson. That's why the teacher does not come, but it's actually the lesson we need the most, because it's the lesson that equips us with the information, the decision making, sexual relations, that's where we learn everything. And then there's this thing where schools will make an attempt to teach us about these things, and they will call someone once in 2 years to talk about these things to us or equip us with this knowledge. But it's not really helpful if you see them once and you never see them again, And as for contraceptives, I never really knew they were actually available in our country. The only thing I knew was morning after pills and your condoms. That's it. As for the others, those were the things I learned in the textbook, in the class. I just had to know them, memorize them, pass them, leave. I didn't really know I could utilize those things as a young person. So I feel like we should go back there and change what we did and encourage teachers as well, because it was such a hush-hush conversation, They never really talked about it. It was taboo. So I feel like they should teach young people about all these things and let them know that they can access these services. So yeah.
And as a youth advocate, obviously advocating for SRHR services for young people, what measures do you think you've taken or have tried to consider or have tried to propose to your organization that this is how we can go about it and this is how we can make a difference or make a change or make advancements when it comes to that?
Okay, so far there have been outreaches in schools, but mainly universities, because as said, it's still based in Gaborone. I would love for it to go outside because that's where we actually need them. I'd like for them to go to the schools and spread more awareness about the issue.
So you wanted to go on the outskirts and to go to the marginalized communities?
I would love that.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Penko. I would also, let me pass on the mic to Ms. Sweu. I wanted to ask you that, how do you think we can improve the educational outcomes of adolescent young girls and young women?
Okay. Improving the educational outcomes will include making sure that the education that is delivered is holistic, not only focusing on academic excellence, and also making sure that we prioritize providing adolescent girls with requisite skills for personal development and overall well-being, so that we don't just raise an A-star student. This will be a student that will also be able to make autonomous decisions about their bodies, understand that they have the right to make choices about their bodies without any external coercion or influence. The other thing being enabling them to take part in different programs rather than what happens within the classroom. making sure that we provide opportunities for them to engage in other educational programs that are specifically about grooming them to be responsible adults or even responsible as adolescents. Thank you.
Miss Victoria, I wanted you to kindly share your personal experience and also just your experience of working with adolescent young girls and young women. What you think went wrong? Like, why do we still have high unplanned pregnancies among school girl children, and also high HIV prevalence amongst young girls in high school?
Thanks for that question. You know what, the truth of the matter is there are quite a number of programs that are out there that have been implemented and developed to work with the girl child or with young women. In my interaction with adolescent girls and young women, I've realized that something that is really against or is not working for us is the attitude towards the programs that we have for adolescent girls and young women. The question at hand is, are we involving adolescent girls and young women when we are developing these programs? Are we actually with them in the, do we have them in the room to tell us what they want as a solution? Because what I've recognized is programs are created and then they are thrown to the young girls, and then we're shocked when they don't respond. Because is it what they really want? We might think that that's what they want, but is it what would work for them? I do understand, Jorge. In some cases, we think we know what's best. But in that moment, we need to understand what are they going through, what are their stories, what do they need at that time when we want to implement programs. Working with adolescent girls and young women, especially in marginalized communities that have been ignored, quotes and quotes, ignored or not prioritized, I've recognized that we've made it a norm that if somebody's from the townships or from the Kassis, we're just saying, that's the way it is. And it's not right. It's not right. It's imperative. It's really important that we have to sit down with these girls and find out what's their story. You know, when I speak on attitude as well, it's not like they don't want to know. It's not like they don't want to gauge. It's for us to empathize and to understand their stories. And I don't want to keep saying them. I want to say we, because I'm also an adolescent girl and young women. We need to be put in rooms for people to understand what we want. What are the needs that we want? What do we need? We can't have people that are not in our shoes making decisions for us and setting policies for us when they don't know what we're going through. Times have changed. Times have changed. It is important that we realize what the norms and practices that we had at the time that we thought were right for a young girl are not working here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Victoria. Taking it back to Ms. Saone Musweu, I just want to understand that under the UNFPA organization, do you think that adolescent girls and young women are given the right platforms? Are they engaged? Are they invited when it comes to the creation and the implementation and enforcing of laws and policies?
Since one of the organization's mission is to ensure that the potential of every young person is fulfilled, what we are working on and what we continue to support relevant parties like the government, civil society organizations, and any other relevant stakeholders to do is to make sure that we support them to understand what meaningful youth engagement is, so that they don't just engage young people for the sake of it. They engage them in meaningful ways that they will know that these programs, these policies were developed by us for us, and we have well represented our cohort, and this is what is going to work for us now and in the future. So what the organization continue to do as part of its mission is to provide technical support and also provide opportunities where they are, to make sure that young people are able to speak up for themselves and their peers.
All right, well said. Okay, moving on to the next question. I really do still want to understand why we have high increased rates of HIV and AIDS, amongst young girls, especially in high schools, those going into varsities. And what is it that we're doing wrong, and what can we do to change? I will give this question to Wyze.
Okay, thank you. One of the main reasons why currently we are having the high prevalence of HIV infections and unplanned pregnancies among young people who are transitioning from high school to the tertiary level. Cover it will if you see the way right now in our primary level, in our junior level. Our young people are living in a different environment, and when they transition to the upper tertiary schools, they find another different environment, whereby they find other young people who are vibing, who are hyping for sex, alcohol, and as such, when they transition to such stage, they start to be more confused, not knowing on what to do. Looking at the fact, in our primary levels or in our junior levels, the way guidance and counseling lessons are being provided or are being delivered, you find the teachers come in class and then just deliver everything in a formal way. The classes are never flexible to engage or to teach young people more on sexual education or to give their opinions. So when they go to that new environment, it makes them to be more confused and to make more wrong choices, basically because of the pressures they are finding in that area. And the other aspect is considering the part of parent-child communication gap, as we believe that we really and you grow up in an environment or in our homes whereby the foundation of sexual education has never been laid before, or we never say anything regarding that. And when you just hear with friends or you see on social medias, so at the end of the day you end up engaging in such risky behaviors because you are being influenced by other people. Because whatever decision you should have made, right, maybe if your parents would have guided you well, but now you are taking it from friends because of pressure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I do agree. I think a lot of adolescent girls and young women's personal development and growth really does come from the different environments that they are, involved in, and the different people that they engage with on a daily basis. Okay, so the next question. This one is for you, Memisha. Speaking on behalf of the young people that you represent, what do you think can be done specifically for those young people to help reduce teenage pregnancies and HIV new infections?
Thank you for the question. I think as it has already been alluded to, most of our SRHR is mostly based on talking to the adolescent girls themselves. But we forget that this issue is a taboo in households. It's something that we never talk about. I'm 22 years old, and it's a conversation that I was supposed to have with my parent before, but I've never had it. I've been told compromise, abstain, be faithful. All these things I know because I've attended dreams, I've been a part of YAM. Because of all these things, outreach programs that I've been to, right? But in the household, I've never been told this is the way. And often at times you are taught that the best education you get it from home. And another thing is the way we use social media. children are exposed to social media on a daily basis, yeah? But the content that they watch is not suitable enough to try and cap these issues. But if we targeted influencers, young girls and young women who are active in these issues of SRHR, we can actually cap these HIV infections and also reduce teenage pregnancies. I'm talking about the likes of not just new infections and reducing teenage pregnancy, but we can also take it in the sense that of educational outcomes. When you see young women and young adults as women prospering in this line of work, we get to have we get to have less infections because they've seen an influencer or someone do better in that regard, because we have put that into their minds through the social media that they spend time on. Thank you so much.
I think what I'm also just trying to comprehend is that these different organizations that we hear about, you know, SAT Botswana, we hear about BOFA, you know, even for ages way above AGY community, her Voice Fund. I think I'm really just UNFPA. I think I'm really just trying to understand that. Do you guys think that we need to involve stakeholders, especially in marginalized communities, like both in rural and urban areas? Do you guys think that we should be involving your guidance council teachers, the police? We need to involve the nurses at the clinics. Do we need to involve social workers in these communities? You know, because I would like to believe that because of societal norms, we understand that it may be difficult sometimes, even for young girls, to access these SRHIV services, simply because it's very marginalized and there's really no enough resources. Do you, for example, SAT Botswana, it wants to take a mobile clinic to Mankodi, involving the Kosi to have a meeting with the young girls, to call the young girls to the Kota, about comprehensive sex education? Do you guys think that we need to do better and do more involving these stakeholders?
Absolutely. It is important that we involve the stakeholders that are, you know, that have the power to spread this kind of awareness in the work that we do. I'll give an example with guidance and counseling teachers. That's what they're called again. Don't be surprised, I don't know. I've never been in a school where there was one. I will start with saying that I was in a Christian institution, so you can imagine that these conversations were not close to being held. So I'll give an example with having a guidance and counselor conversation with them. You can't make that lesson a norm, that it should be a free lesson, you know? I've heard that a lot of teachers skip the last topic in the science book.
I've heard that too.
The last topic, if you're not aware, is the reproductive health topic, because they say they're not comfortable talking about it. Is it about comfort, or is it about the safety of the young people that we want in our communities? You know, it's not about you in that moment. You know, obviously you don't deliver it like that, but it's all about sensitizing and letting them know that there's a mandate that we're for. The HIV prevalence rate is absolutely high, not because girls don't know, it's because they were not taught earlier. You know, right now, when you try to teach a young adult or a young woman, it's not very hard, it's not very easy to, you know, have them change that attitude, especially if they've already been fed that what they're doing is okay, you know. And it's really important that we engage stakeholders, including the nurses, to sensitize them and show them that it doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter if you see a 12-year-old coming in the clinic and saying that they want a morning after. You can't judge that young girl. It's fine. You can sit down with them after you've assisted them and let them know that, you know, you're too young to be engaging with these things. You know, you're too young to be engaging in sexual activities because of this and this and this and that. Giving them the reasons as to why it's not good You know, I think the truth of the matter is human beings are sexual beings. We cannot ignore the fact that young people or people are engaging in sexual activities. We can say they must abstain. That's fine. We can teach young people to abstain. But the truth of the matter is, at some point, a young person is going to be very curious and wants to engage, you know? And it's not all the time the curiosity kills the cat. Yes. It doesn't. Because they end up experimenting and trying to figure out how is it gonna end. So it's very important to engage stakeholders. It's very important to engage parents, and what Michelle was saying, that you know it's not something that we're used to have parents sit down with us and say, this is how things work. You need to know this, you need to know that from a sexuality education perspective. And it's not that they don't want to. In most cases, I've realized that it's not that parents don't want to. They also don't know how to have age-appropriate conversations at the time. I mean, imagine sitting with a 10-year-old and you're trying to explain to them the the importance of comprehensive sexuality education. You know, I think when we also engage our stakeholders, we need to show them that there are age-appropriate ways of teaching young people or children on these issues. You know, I think that's where the gap is as well. We don't have age-appropriate programs because now they end up thinking that, my child is 9 years old and you want to teach them about a condom, you know? So yeah, with my 2 cents, it's very important to engage the stakeholders.
Okay, I also agree that it is very important to engage different stakeholders, because sometimes you find that different stakeholders are focused on programming for different cohorts within the population. So when we talk about intersectionalities, we find that you may talk about one girl, but this girl might be a girl who has a disability, who is living with HIV, who stays in a rural area, who is in primary education, or who has never went to school. So we need different stakeholders who are programming for different groups within the population, so that we can see how to support this particular girl with all this factors, so that we don't in any way find ourselves discriminating her because we just decided that, okay, we're just programming for girls living with HIV, forgetting that it can be a girl living with HIV but also has a disability, and her disability is in a way that there is something that is unique to her, and there is some reasonable accommodation that she requires.
When we engage people like Lokhosi, we get to have a hold on the people that we're engaging with. Yeah. Lokhosi are usually people who observe cultural norms and values. And when we talk to them about these sexual health, reproductive education, they get to know the importance of their people knowing, their children knowing these sexual health, reproductive education, right? And thus we get to prevent the little things that come with not knowing. Yeah.
But I want to tell that girl, Hori, it took you places. Oh, Papa. Wow. I was very curious. I was a very curious kid. But if I was one thing I would very much tell her is that it was a good thing that you were curious. Even though no Papa. Oh no, why you got the number? But yeah. My personality really took me places, my personality and my confidence, and I was a very brave kid. So I just want to say to her, Hori, good girl, you did not let yourself slip. You did not let the pressure of people telling you that, wow, Papa, Hori, you should dim down your light. So yeah, you're doing good. That's what I would like to say to her.
Should I share mine now?
Oh my goodness, 15-year-old me is a contrast to what I am right now, because 15-year-old me would shrink back into their shell. 15-year-old me will not use their voice, but I want to say to 15-year-old me, you did it. You know, and now you have the confidence to even be the voice of another. So yeah, that's what I would say to my 15-year-old self.
Okay, thank you. Looking at myself back at the age of 15, I like to say at my younger self at the age of 15, I stayed with my parents, I stayed with my siblings, but they never changed anything regarding anything for sexual relationship or anything of sexual reproductive health. And even when I attended school, of course, when I was doing from 2 years, we've been taught about sexual reproductive health in our science lessons. But I was so very shy. The lesson was making me so very, very uncomfortable. My thought was like, when will this lesson finish and then we're done with that? However, when I addressed myself, I said I was so like him. Even though I had a lack of information, but I preserved myself, and then here I am right now, a voice to other young people now, letting them know more about sexual reproductive health so that they can make informed decisions about their lives. So I will say I'm so blessed. Thank you.
I don't know what to say to 15-year-old me, because I was all over the place. I did not know what I wanted. I was just a girl, really. But on the spot, I'd say thank you for staying at home. I think it saved me from a lot, because I was, okay, as much as I knew some things, but I stayed at home, and so I did not have so much influence from other people. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for staying at home.
What would I say to my 15-year younger self me? I was very confused when I was 15 years old. I was very lost. I was going through self-identity crisis. So right now, I really would like to tell my 15-year-old self that it was okay. It was okay to experience certain things that you did experience. It was only part of your growth. You were learning, you were learning and you were easily influenced. It's fine, it happens, looking at the different environments. But right now, I would like to tell my 15-year-old me that you were such a brave girl for the things that you really went through in life, especially my medical history. It wasn't the best, but I really would like to tell myself that, my younger self, that I'm really proud that you didn't take any drastic measures. Anything could have happened at the time, but yeah, I'm proud of her, and also what you want to see, what you want for them.
My vision for girls in the future is to see really confident and empowered girls. I think when you're confident, there's just something that's very different when you're a confident person. If you guys know Bonang Mateba, that lady screams and leaks confidence. And when she speaks, that's my vision for a girl. I want to see girls in that capacity. When you walk in a room, I don't want to see girls with their heads down, I want them just with their head up. Doesn't matter where they're from, doesn't matter how they look, doesn't matter the race, doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter what you're wearing, whatever. I want to see empowered girls, I want to see confident girls. I want girls that are very comfortable in who they are and where they're coming from and so forth. And I envision a future for girls that are in decision-making platforms, that are out there making policies, being leaders, and prioritizing their own needs at policy-making levels. I really want to see I think something that's been preached throughout the year that I've seen that's very consistent is women in politics. I would love to see women in politics. I still very much believe that one day we're going to have a female president in Botswana, and I can't wait for that to happen.
Okay, I'm because but as for me, I want the girl child taking up space. I want the girl child standing her ground. Most importantly, I want the girl child supporting another girl. And I've said this before, but I want girl and boy, men and women to level eyes and not have gender be that chain that pulls them back into their shell. So yeah, that's what I want for the girl child.
My dream for my girls is to see our angels being more empowered when it comes to sexual issues and be more assertive, to learn to say no when they don't want something.
Yes.
When they say no, they mean no to sex. They mean it like no, yes, no, yes, no. But I want to see more girls who are more trained to bravely say no and to go for what they want and to make good decisions and informed decisions about their lives. Thank you.
I don't know what to say to 15-year-old me because I was all over the place. I did not know what I wanted. I was just a girl, really. But on the spot, I'd say thank you for staying at home. I think it saved me from a lot because I was, okay, as much as I knew some things, but I stayed at home and so I did not have so much influence from other people. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for staying at home.
Okay, what would I say to my 15-year younger self me? I was very confused when I was 15 years old. I was very lost. I was going through self-identity crisis. So right now, I really would like to tell my 15-year-old self that it was okay. It was okay to experience certain things that you did experience. It was only part of your growth. You were learning, you were learning and you were easily influenced. It's fine, it happens, looking at the different environments. But right now, I would like to tell my 15-year-old me that you were such a brave girl for the things that you really went through in life, especially my medical history. It wasn't the best, but I really would like to tell myself that, my younger self, that I'm really proud that you didn't take any drastic measures, anything could have happened at the time. But yeah, I'm proud of her and she's a...
Thank you for watching. See you on the 23rd of November 2024 at Bufwa Grounds for the Entrepreneurship Expo and 16 days of activism against GBV commemoration walk. You are all invited.